Beam me up, Scotty? Is that what you want to say?
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the February 20th meeting of the Bridgewater Township Council. In compliance with the Open Public Meetings Act of New Jersey, the adequate notice of this meeting was provided on December 10th, 2024, by sending written notice and electronic notice to the Courier News and the Breeze, posting on the website and the bulletin board in the municipal building, and filing with the township clerk. May we have the roll call, please?
Councilman Kirsch?
Here.
Councilman Kudilla?
Here.
Councilman Pedroso? Councilman Ring?
Here.
President Nogales?
Here. Councilman Kirsch will lead us in the pledge. If you're able to, please stand.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic
For which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. We have minutes for approval, two sets, January 30th and February 6th, regular sessions. Any comments, any feedback to the clerk?
I just didn't know if we wanted to take them separately. I believe Councilman Kirsch was at one, but
Then we'll
not
take
the
them
other.
separate.
I was at one, not the other.
Okay, we'll take January 30th first.
So moved.
Second? Okay, all those in favor of approving?
Aye.
January 30th minutes are approved. Abstain on the part of Mr. Pedroso. February 6th, motion for the minutes, please.
I'll make that motion.
Second, please.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor of approval?
Aye.
Aye. Any abstentions? Okay. The closed sessions are circulating. Moving to Township Council reports, can we start with Councilman Pedroso, please? Sure. Okay, we'll move to Councilman Kirsch.
Thank you. So on February 10th, there was a meeting held with our Legislative District 23. Part of that delegation, Senator Steinhardt, Assembly Leader DeMaio, on two topics. I'm going to speak to one of them. Mr. Ring, I believe, will speak to the other. The issue that I raised, provided a memo ahead of time that served as a starting point for the conversation, is the question about potential changes to the municipal land use law and particularly notice requirements. I know this is an issue that we've discussed in Bridgewater before. It's not a unique problem or challenge to Bridgewater. The specific place that we've asked for legislative research and potentially some action is potentially making adjustment, particularly when there is activity in a commercial zone with emphasis on use variance, or instances where a commercial zone is abutting a residential zone. My supposition is that depending upon the change, the impact can be far in excess of 200 feet. As I think people know, in Bridgewater, in an effort toward transparency, we do have a specialized newsletter where we will proactively communicate land use board agendas to anyone who wants to know about them. Not required by law, but certainly I believe is a good step in the right direction. Potentially having that paired with a greater notice requirement that would make sure that our residency, our constituents, our residents know what's going on and what may impact them in their neighborhoods. The zoning board met on February 11th and heard an application for Visions and Pathways not too far from their current location, which is near the Bridgewater Post Office. They're proposing a second building. Planning board met last night for the purpose of only resolutions, no hearings. The other thing I want to acknowledge is the work done by our staff. Those who see the screens either in the room or online will notice that the logo's a little different. First of all, we don't have a logo, we have an emblem. Our official town emblem. This is a logo that is an adaptation of our emblem intended to celebrate the upcoming 250th birthday of the United States of America, scheduled for July of 2026. So it is our intention, it is the township's intention to leverage this way of adding to that celebratory event. So It's a little different. It's not radically different, but it does acknowledge our tie-in to the 250th upcoming 250th anniversary of our country, and that's my report.
Thank you. Councilman Cardilla?
Okay, the month of February, we witnessed this past Saturday all fire district elections. We witnessed this past Saturday, rather, the fire district elections. It's my understanding that all the districts in Bridgewater, all four, did okay. All the budgets have passed, and I understand we're just waiting for the final count from the County Board of Elections on the late mail-in ballots. As far as activity, a significant piece of activity that has been ongoing is related to the dispatching system that we have with Somerset County. And with the, along the way, the county is mandating that all emergency services in Bridgewater Township, we need to change our radios to upgrade to different frequencies. The details can make your head spin, to be honest with you. However, when push gets to shove, when we look at the proposal or the projected cost, the cost for police, fire, and EMS is going to be touching $5 million. To me, that's a big number. And no matter how you look at it, whether you pay for it through your fire district or the town, or the township pays it or whatever, $5 million is $5 million. What we have done is we are working with Congressman Kane to see if we can get federal funding to help pay for it, since the change in frequency, the foundation for it is the change that the FCC forced down everybody's throat when they mandated frequency changes a few short years ago. So while we don't have firm answers yet, there's more questions than answers, but I do know that the plan is for this to go online by 2026, and that the equipment based on delivery schedules and so forth would have to be ordered somewhere around mid to early fall 2025. To tell you that it's an easy project would be a lie. It's a very difficult project. It's a lot of work for a lot of people, but that is something that I've been involved with and that is ongoing at this time. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Councilman Ring?
Thank you, sir. I do have a couple items. The first is, Councilman Kirsch mentioned there was a meeting that took place earlier this month with some of the officials from Legislative District 23, namely Assemblyman DeMayo and Senator Steinhardt, as well as some of their staff. Some of you may recall back at our December meeting, I spoke of some personal frustrations where we had a state shut down multiple lanes of 202, 206. At the same time, the county approved shutting down North Bridge Street all the week before Christmas, not talking to one another. So there was some discussion about what can be done to ensure that all levels of government are talking to one another about road closures. The long story short of that one is there's a feeling that within the state, the information is needed, looking at how that can best be disseminated down to the county and the state moving forward. So hopefully more to come on that. The Budget Committee has had some correspondence with the administration regarding a timeline for budget this year. We do know the county was due to certify assessments this week, so hopefully that will be the start of something and we will have a timeline in the near future. Lastly, I wanted to share individual who I've kind of known off and on for several years. Interesting enough, about 25 years ago, I actually first met the individual when I walked into her house in the middle of the night and delivered her daughter 25 years ago when she was in labor. But she had recently posted something on Facebook about one of our Bridgewater police officers, and She was kind enough to send me a copy of it, and I apologize. It's a little bit lengthy, but I think it is worth reading. So this was a letter, an email that she sent to our police chief recently. Dear Sir, I'm a 36-year resident of Bridgewater. I grew up in a small town in northwest New Jersey where I was raised to know that police officers are our friends, are to be trusted. I raised my 3 girls the same way. Today, I witness police work, professionalism, and I think most importantly, compassion at its finest. I came upon the first of 2 accidents on Crim Road. By the way, it was a snowy day that I'm aware of this afternoon. A truck had obviously hit a small tree and was haphazardly across the road, as was much debris from the truck. As I passed, I saw a young man crying. So I obviously stopped to make sure he wasn't hurt and asked him if he would like me to stay until a police officer arrived. He said yes. Officer Anthony Mendoza was the first officer on scene. After introducing himself, ascertaining there was no injuries, and asking respectfully my role in being there, he turned to the young man. Within a few minutes and a few words, he turned from English to fluent Spanish. I unfortunately don't speak Spanish, but it was obvious by the frightened accident victim's demeanor, as well as Officer Mendoza's persona and kindness, that he was comforting him. The young man's shoulders relaxed and his tears stopped. Honestly, it was a beautiful experience to witness. Officer Mendoza went on to professionally and calmly ask what sounded like many questions, determining the details of the accident, but always with the obviously, despite my ignorance of the language being spoken, was kindness and respect. He then turned to me, and I had not witnessed the accident, said I could go. I asked if the scared kid would be okay. He said, yes, and I'm paraphrasing, yes, we will call his company, make sure he gets home. This is a tough road and snow. I promise you he will be okay. Officer then Mendoza offered to help me re-enter the traffic and said, I need to tell you, by the way, I have my body cam on. I said, good, and looked directly at that camera and said, because you have been awesome. He smiled a little, waved me off humbly, helping me back on the road. I understand at least a little bit the struggles our heroes in blue save these days: division, misunderstanding, miscommunication. I also understand that a minor traffic accident on a busy, bad weather day may not seem like a big deal. But today, the Bridgewater Police Department was represented by the best of the best. Officer Anthony Mendoza's demeanor, approach, and conduct epitomizes the value and qualities of police officers I was raised to believe in. Competence, professionalism, objectivity, yes, as it is needed, but with such compassion and basic kindness, just basic empathy and kindness. I am a mom, and watching this kid treated in this way in a scary moment by a person of great authority touched me. I hope if any of my girls are ever in a moment of crisis, they will encounter an officer like Officer Mendoza, and I wanted you to know. Kudos to the Bridgewater Police Department, and especially to Officer Mendoza. You should be proud of him as an officer like him representing your organization. I am proud and grateful to be protected by him and those on the force like him. Thank you for taking the time to read this. Should you have any questions, goes on, and the resident signed it. So I would just like to also express my appreciation for Officer Mendoza and his efforts that day. That's my report.
Well said. Councilman Pedroso, maybe we return to you?
Thank you, sir. Okay, so I missed the last council meeting. On that day, I attended the New Jersey Chamber of Commerce Walk to Washington, D.C. event. The New Jersey Chamber of Commerce hosts, hadn't hosted this event quite a few years since COVID, but it used to be an annual event where they basically will take a train ride down to Washington, D.C. And during that train ride, everyone on board the train sort of mingles and networks. And then in D.C., there are several events, and all sorts of people attend, obviously politicians, a lot of members from the state legislature, a lot of people from the business community. I met a lot of executives from PSE&G and New Jersey American Water Company. I could become useful if I ever need to contact them regarding an event here in Bridgewater. But it was certainly a worthwhile event. You certainly get to meet and talk to a lot of people who may be value, certainly in my role here as town council. And so, and then there were obviously social events down in D.C., and you come back the next day. Since I missed the last meeting, I guess I have a couple more things to say. I also did attend I went down to D.C. for the inauguration of President Trump. I spent a couple of days in D.C. I went to several gala events, and I really had a wonderful time. It was certainly a very positive experience. The mood in the air was very, very positive, and people were very optimistic for the future of America. I also attended the Somerset Patriots sponsor celebration event. Certainly, I'm always happy to be a part of events hosted by the Somerset Patriots. They are certainly an asset here in Bridgewater Township, and they bring a lot of value to our community. Then the Martinsville Rescue Squad 2025 Officer Installation Dinner, which I never like to miss an opportunity to thank the men and women who volunteer for our township and provide an invaluable service for providing first aid and rescue squad services to all our residents. They volunteer their time, and it's a tremendous resource for Bridgewater, but also certainly provides a lot of community benefit and the goodwill that they provide. And so thank you to all of the volunteers in our rescue squads across our town. Attended a couple Chinese New Year events, both the event here in Bridgewater Township at the Senior Center, and then also the event at the Bridgewater Commons the next day. Both events had a lot of people in attendance. I feel like the event at the mall keeps growing every year. Every year I go, there's more and more people. It's in the center of the mall, and all of the levels are really packed with people watching really the wonderful show that are put on and the festivities. So that's really a great opportunity for people to partake a little bit in the Chinese culture. To my Chinese American friends, Gangchi Fakai. Unlike many of you, I watched the Super Bowl, and I can't say I was impressed. I'm not a fan of either the Eagles or the Chiefs, but I was hoping for a good game. I didn't get a good game, but anyway, it was fun to spend time with friends and watch the football game. So that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for those of you in the audience for coming out on such a snowy, dangerous night. Also, a happy post-Valentine's Day. New Jersey American Water has confirmed that many of their customers will feel that their water tastes salty. This is a direct result of the need for virtually all road departments to salt the road due to the inclement weather. The salt runs off to the Raritan River, which is a major source of water for New Jersey American Water, so we just have to put up with it. I attended the first quarter of 2025 local emergency planning council meeting chaired by OEM head police Lieutenant James Edwards. Police officer Brian Sujansky has been named deputy OEM. Additional paperwork has been requested by FEMA for a previous $43,000 reimbursement request from the flood. In addition, the previous rejection by FEMA of $120,000 in cost has been appealed. We'll see how that one goes. Emergency operation plans continue to be developed to meet an August 2025 deadline. There was a question about insurance coverage for CERT volunteers. Any CERT volunteer involved in a township-initiated activity is covered by our workman's compensation plan. There are OEM meetings planned with fire and squad chiefs to iron out coordination and chain of commands issue. Those residents who receive a sewer bill will note that there was a bill enclosure indicate that there are three options to pay your sewer or your tax bill. I would call your attention to option one, which is to pay online. This is accessed through the online payment portal at www.bridgewaternj.gov. However, if you use the online portal, there is a transaction fee of $1.95 if using an ACH payment, which is an automated clearinghouse. In addition, if you use a credit card or a debit card, there is a 2.9%, whatever the value of the payment is, as a fee. You can avoid any additional fee if you use your bank's online bill pay, or simply write and mail and hand deliver your check to the township tax collector. Yesterday, along with Councilman Kirsch and Director Tom Genova, I attended a meeting with a representative from Reiner Pump Systems to discuss some of the performance issues at the Gilbride Sewerage Pumping Station. This will be the subject of a closed council meeting at the conclusion of tonight's meeting. Several weeks ago, I reported that a large stop sign would be installed on Talamidi and Country Club at that intersection. It has been installed. I saw it today. Looks great. In addition, a smaller sign several hundred feet back from the sign to alert the driver that there is a stop sign coming up. Still to come will be the street, a light at that intersection, and hopefully these improvements will improve the safety for both cars and for pedestrians. Thank you. Anything from the mayor, Mr. Pappas?
Just one comment. The township has been invited to participate in the New Jersey State Planning Commission's cross-acceptance process. In Somerset County, the county has raised its hand and volunteered to serve as an intermediary, and municipalities can either opt in to participate in that or delegate any role to the county. So Bridgewater has opted to participate. The mayor asked the following individuals to serve as Bridgewater's representatives to this effort. They include Councilman Michael Kirsch, Planning Board Chairman Maurizio Vescio, Zoning Board Chairman Jeff Foose, Assistant Township Attorney Alex Fisher, Township Planner Catherine Sarmed, and Township Engineer Bill Burr. We had a meeting a couple of days ago to review the process so these folks could understand, and in fact, this evening, Ms. Sarmed is there in Somerville representing Somerset for the initial kickoff meeting. And that's all that I have.
Thank you, sir. Okay, moving on, item 7, proclamations, we have none. Presentations, we have none. We're up to item number 9, which is the meeting open to the public. Members of the public wishing to address the council for any matter will be allowed 3 minutes to speak unless there are unusual circumstances. If you wish to address the council, please come forward. There's a sign-in sheet. There's a little sign there also that says, please speak into the microphone so we can make sure we get you on the tape.
Do you want the motion?
Pull it down. There you go.
Do you want the motion to open?
Oh, I'm sorry. A motion to go to open.
I'll make the motion.
Second, please.
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. We are now legally open to the public.
My name is Elizabeth Colucci. I live at 1776 Washington Valley Road, in Martinsville. Good evening. On September 19th, 2024, a member of the public addressed this council regarding the rampant political sign stealing occurring at people's homes in town. This was directed at one party only and was frightening some, mostly seniors, angering others, and taken in stride by a few. Members of the council, you were specifically asked to put out the word that it needed to stop. The speaker expressed concern that the perpetrators would get caught, and that would result in a waste of police and court time and consequences for the perpetrators. Needless to say, the speaker's concerns were well-founded. More and more signs were stolen, over 200 altogether at a cost of $10 per sign. Signs were stolen 4 times from my home alone. When this happened, I went to the police department personally to spare them from having to take the time to travel to my home. I'd like to mention that in both circumstances, the police officers were polite and helpful and took my concerns seriously. In fact, I think one of the officers was Officer Mendoza. I am grateful for that. During this time, numerous police reports were filed. Eventually, 2 Bridgewater juveniles were caught. Ultimately, an officer had to go to the perpetrator's home. Another police officer had to conduct an investigation. Time was spent to obtain confessions, and the county prosecutor's office had to review the cases. Another agency had to determine a sentence, all a waste of time and taxpayer money. The juveniles involved admitted their guilt and now must complete community service. Some restitution was made. Was this necessary? Could it have been prevented? This council and the mayor sat back and did nothing. Bridgewater deserves a council and mayor who do not selectively decide who to represent or listen to. Your inaction is disappointing and concerning. Much gratitude needs to go out to Chief Mitzak and the officers who took our reports and acted to stop this unpatriotic and lawless assault in our community. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to address the council, please come forward. Hi.
My name is Anda Citroyan, Martinsville section. Thank you very much, as always, for your illustrative comments and reports to the township, several of which are tied to what I came to discuss. One is also to thank the police department's traffic bureau. I recently came to them with some concern about the traffic safety issues surrounding Cromwell Park and the trail and traffic signage there, and they also took my concern seriously, so I just wanted to raise that issue here as well. As I understand, it's a partnership between us and the county, and I think it will be dealt with, and I hopefully no adverse traffic situations will occur from that, particularly pedestrian, as it's a hiking and biking area designated. But the main reason I come tonight actually concerns some of the comments that were brought up. So my concern is primarily on the 2025 budget and the lack of information and guidance and clear information to the public about the process and timeline. Earlier this evening, Councilman Cardilla unveiled or reported on what sounds to be a $5 million unfunded mandate, which is to be acted upon during this calendar year. No mention of how that will appear, how we are able to fiscally manage that. Last year, a $63 million municipal budget, including the sewer tax, was brought to the public and adopted on August 15th of 2024. There's been no discussion in the agendas or minutes that I could find online about the 2025 budget. There's also been no mention about the 2024 adoption of the corrective action plan and what the mayor and administration are doing to comply with that. There's been no report that I can find that reports on how we're doing with that. One of the main charges, as I see the township, to us as constituents is the fiduciary oversight of our resources, not just financial, but certainly financial. So I'd like a better understanding, Councilman President, of the timeline, process that the public is to expect for the 2025 budget. Thank you.
I can give you one piece of information. I spoke to Anthony Doradio, who's our tax assessor, today, because the plan was that the handoff of our piece of that would come today. It didn't. It won't come till, according to the county, till Monday or Tuesday.
So that's a revenue side. Certainly our expenses, including unfunded mandates, we can start to build that budget process in order to understand what we need to do on the tax revenue side. But it's very unclear what the process is. You discuss items regarding financial expenditures or potential impact of future financial expenditures, but you must understand that the general process is not as transparent, which is what Councilman Kirsch talked about on the 2024 budget. We're looking for transparency to understand the process. We're looking for transparency on what pieces are happening so that we can be informed, so that we can support the efforts of the township. But right now, from this side of the podium, it's not exactly clear what the plan is for 2025 budget presentation, discussions, adoptions. What are we going to be hit with that's perhaps an adverse effect on our budget? And we're simply asking for that transparency. That's all.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to address the council?
Good evening. My name's Martha Barrett, and I'm a Rolling Hills Road resident. And I'm new to being here, but I thought instead of staying home, just reading about things online, maybe I could find out some answers. And the biggest one I have is the tax assessment. I'm on a fixed income, panicking because of the tax levy that has occurred over the last several years. Definitely put a strain on my husband and myself to try to make ends meet and still be a Bridgewater resident. We want to stay. We really do.
We want you to stay.
Our
We
4
really
children.
do.
Love the district. I loved every committee that I was on with the district. I was a former teacher. And my biggest concern, and maybe you have an answer, in 2023-24, 46 employees were let go due to retirement and layoffs. How many were retirements versus layoffs? Any idea?
There were no layoffs.
There were no
Last
layoffs.
few years, there were layoffs in 2020.
46.
There were layoffs in 2020, 14, and that was due to a decrease in revenue because of the pandemic.
Okay. My next question then is, why did we need 9 new supervisors, and who were they supervising if we lost 46?
I don't know what positions you're speaking of, ma'am.
I don't either, and that's why I'm going by something that was published in TAP today. It's incomplete.
I didn't see it, so it's hard to speak about something so vague.
Maybe I need to meet with you to find out this information, because it's not acceptable. You want us to stay in town.
You didn't publish that, the paper did, so I don't know. I'd like to see what you're referencing, if I could.
Would you like to look at this?
Mr. Papa, some people are having a hard time hearing you.
Is that your only copy? Okay.
As I said, I was a former teacher. When we lost 46 teachers or custodians or office staff, but they hired 9 administrators, we all threw our hands up in the air.
Are you referring to the school district or the
No, I'm
township
referring
budget?
to this article that's stating that it's 9 administrators in the township that were hired. That has nothing to do with school district.
The article that I'm reading is an article from the, I guess it was, I think it's the Patch, and the writer is quoting a resident who made statements. So the statements were attributed to a member of the public who made statements.
Okay, and where can I fact check it then?
You'd have to contact this gentleman and ask him where he got his information. If you'd like this back, I could, happy to give it to you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Mr. President, can I just make a comment? The lady that just spoke of the tax assessment level. The tax assessor is a township employee, but as I think most of us know, the tax assessing function is purely regulated by the state. The township council, the mayor, the administration have no control or oversight over the assessor. That is, again, regulated by the New Jersey State Division of Taxation, and the assessment levels are crafted by him based upon information. We have what's a municipality that's called referenced as an annual assessment program. We do have, I think, one of the most competent tax assessors in the state, and anyone that receives an assessment that they think is inappropriate, they have the ability to appeal the tax assessment. So if anyone has any questions, certainly can speak to me or Mr. Dorado.
Sir.
Hi, good evening. Andrew Bucko, 543 Berrywood Lane, and
Your name again, sir?
Andrew Bucko. I'm actually the gentleman that was quoted in the Tap Into article, and actually wanted to follow up on the mayor's comments from the meeting that was actually quoted in there. Now, as the previous speaker pointed out, there was a reduction in headcount. Now, the mayor had given us the explanation at the time that there were retirements that weren't refilled, there were open recs that weren't filled, et cetera. If that's the case, at an average of $65,000 per year, that should mean there would have been a $2.4 million surplus in the payroll budget for those positions that presumably were budgeted for but not filled. Now, he also took issue with the increase in spending that the township has engaged in. From 2023 to 2024, the appropriation increased by $1.9 million. In other words, the town spent more money. They spent 4% more money than in 2023. Hence, why you have to go to the taxpayers and get more money from us to cover the additional spending. To answer Mr. Pappas's question of where does this come from, it comes from your budgets. I bring your attention to sheet UFB 7 on the user-friendly budget for 2023 and 2024. In the 2023 budget, there is 12 members of supervisory staff. In the 2024 budget, there's 21 members of supervisory staff. 21 minus 12 is, anyone? 9. Yes, 9 more supervisors. So if you're telling us that these aren't correct, I think that's a you problem, isn't it? If you're telling us that the budgets that you filed, that you gave to the public, aren't correct, that the numbers in them aren't correct, I think you have more questions that you should be asking to the mayor. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to address the council?
Seeing no one, motion.
Motion to close?
So moved.
Second, please.
Second.
All those in favor of closing?
Aye.
Aye. All right, we are closed to the public. Thank you. We are now moving on to public hearing and final action ordinances. 10A, an ordinance amending Chapter 10, which is Municipal Court, Section 10-4, Judge, Terms of Office, and Sections 10-6, Functions, Powers, Duties, and Jurisdiction of the Municipal Code of the Township of Bridgewater to remove obsolete statutory references. We owe a debt of thanks to our learned counsel, who has always weeds through to find out what things are no longer needed. Is there anything you'd like to?
You got another one coming. I found another error in the next couple meetings. So
Oh, okay.
I am the king of small issues here. So we'll continue to find them.
Could I, are there any questions? Could I have a motion to, this is final ordinance. Oh, we need to have a public hearing.
Motion to open public hearing.
Second that.
Okay, all those in favor of opening a public hearing?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone wishing to address the council on item 10A, which is the public hearing and final action on this ordinance?
Seeing no one, I
come
move
forward.
to close public hearing and move final action.
Could we have a second, please?
I'll second it.
Roll call.
Councilman Kirsch?
Yes.
Councilman Kudilla?
Yes.
Councilman Pedroso?
Yes.
Councilman Ring?
Yes.
President Nogales?
Yes. 10B, an ordinance setting the compensation of the mayor, township council members, department heads, and certain other municipal employees pursuant to Chapter 374 of the Public Laws of 1985, NJSA 2A.809, NJSA 2A:8-13, NJSA 48:9-165, NJSA 40A:9-135, NJSA 40A:9-146, and Chapter 95 of the Public Laws of 1996 to amend the salaries of the municipal court judge and the court clerk/administrator to reflect the township shared service agreement from municipal court services with the Borough of Raritan. Our judge, by the way, is Judge Howes, and the court administrator is Jenny Peterson. Are there any questions about the details of 10B, please?
not necessarily a question, but I know there was some questions from the public at the prior meeting. So at the beginning of 2024, the judge had a salary from Bridgewater Township in round numbers of $115,500 and a salary from the Borough of Raritan in round numbers of $42,500. Based upon the court coming on board in October, the $42,500 was divided by 12 months, multiplied by 3. There was a $10,625 increase in October, which was the prorated portion of the $42,500 the judge was making in Raritan. Now, the additional increase is making the $42,500 for the full calendar year of 2025. It's important to note that that $42,500 is paid to Bridgewater by the Borough of Raritan. So this is just adjusting the judge's salary based upon the merger in Raritan, with Raritan.
And Mr. President, just additional commentary, also reflecting now the full year salary so that these two individuals will be authorized to be paid the correct amount.
Similar number, same process for the court administrator, just different numbers. But
Okay. May I have a motion to go to open public meeting on 10B?
so moved.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, we are now open to the public for comments on 10B, ordinance. Anyone wishing to address the council, please come forward.
Last person to speak, so there we go. Hi, Andrew Bucko again. My question for the council is the point where the municipal judge is not going to participate in the Bridgewater Health Plan. Is that something that is guaranteed? What happens if the judge next year decides to participate in it, that they need health insurance? Are they going to be forever barred? What if another person fills the position? Is this something that the township actually can do, and is it enforceable?
Right now, the judge is not participating in our benefits plan. Whether that will come in the future, I have no idea, and I believe neither does the rest of the council. We'll take the future when it comes.
And the salary is specific to this judge.
Yes.
So if there was a new judge, salaries.
Okay.
Thank you. Anyone else comment regarding 10B?
Seeing no one, I'll move to close public hearing and move for final action.
Thank you. Second, please.
I'll second it.
Second, can we have a roll call on 10B?
Councilman Kirsch,
Yes.
Councilman Cordilla,
Yes.
Councilman Pedroso,
Yes.
Councilman Ring,
Yes.
President Nogales.
Yes.
President, if I
Sure.
can, I just referenced a note of mine from one of the members of the public, and I just wanted to clarify a comment. One of the speakers spoke of the 2024 audit and corrective action plan. That was reported to the council by the administration and our auditor. The administration came up with a plan. It was presented to the council.
2023 audit. We haven't received.
I'm sorry, 2023. I'm sorry, thank you. In 2024,
But it was
yes.
related to the 2023.
23 audit, yes, thank you.
2024 audit is not yet complete.
Correct. There was a corrective action plan that was presented by the administration, and the council, I know I reported on it. I couldn't give you the exact date, but it was a subject of discussion at the council.
Thank you. Okay, moving to 11A. This is actually a reintroduction. It was introduced several weeks ago, but I'll explain the change. An ordinance authorizing the sale of property known as Lot 15 in Block 477 on the Bridgewater Township tax map and located at 901 routes 202, 206 to Novell Main Street, Urban Renewal LLC of P.O. Box 853, Franklin Lakes, New Jersey, 07417. They are the buyer, for a nominal consideration of $100 pursuant to NJSA 40A:12-21L to construct affordable housing. If developer is unable to meet construction costs through other sources, the township may contribute up to $150,000 from the Affordable Housing Trust Fund. As originally introduced 2 weeks ago, that last part about the monetary thing was in the document, but it wasn't up in the heading. I felt it should be up in the heading, and Learned Counsel felt we needed to revisit, so it is reintroduced. Any questions, comments on 11A?
I'll move 11A.
Okay, second, please.
I'll second.
Okay. A roll call, please, and then a date for publication, please.
Councilman Kirsch?
Yes.
Councilman Cordiller?
Yes.
Councilman Pedroso?
Yes.
Councilman Ring?
Yes.
President Nogales?
Yes.
Final action is scheduled for March 6, 2025 at 7:30 p.m. here in the municipal courtroom. Public inspection of this ordinance is available on the township website, the bulletin board, and through the clerk's office.
Thank you. Moving to resolutions, 12A, authorizing the execution of an agreement with the Somerset Hills Tennis Association, LLC, 128 Van Cleef Road, Somerset, New Jersey, to provide tennis and pickleball instructions for both youth and adult programs for 2025 in an amount not to exceed $50,000 to be paid from the Recreation Trust Fund established specifically for registration fees collected from programs at no expense to the township. Any comments on this
It's
resolution?
amazing the differences there in the two bids.
The second bid, I think I referenced in my memo. The second bid, as I think I referenced in my memo, has obviously didn't understand the scope of work. They just didn't get it, so.
$85 versus $900.
Is that a motion?
Sure, I'll make it a motion.
Second, please.
Second.
If there are no other comments, voting on A, please.
Councilman Kirsch?
Yes.
Councilman Cordiller?
Yes.
Councilman Pedroso?
Yes.
Councilman Ring?
Yes.
President Nogales?
Yes. I'm going to take B, C, and D. They're all about the same product, so I'm going to take them as consent. B is authorizing release of the performance guarantee in the amount of $27,770 and the acceptance of the site improvements to Justin and Christy Bittner, Block 222, Lot 37 at 30, lots 37 and 38 at 383 Union Avenue. C is authorizing release of the performance guarantee in the amount of $70,007.35 and acceptance of the site improvements for NJ Group LLC, formerly GCP Hyatt House, Block 400, Lot 7 at 530 Route 22. And the third one, under D, is authorizing release of the performance guarantee in the amount of $5,247.75 and safety and stabilization bond in the amount of $5,000, acceptance of the site improvements and acceptance of the maintenance guarantee in the amount of $24,630 for PSE&G Block 552, Lot 3 at 961 Route 22. Could I, any questions, please, on a consent vote on B, C, and D?
I have no question, but I would make a motion to approve it.
I just clarifying here, the agenda and the resolution on 12D do not align. So I don't know if it's material or not, but
Mr. Genova is here, he might be able to answer it. I reviewed the instruments, but I can't guarantee the title.
so
Or you could just do it next time.
Okay. Is there any question on materiality related to those citations?
are you suggesting we should table it or?
Yeah, I don't have an answer. I don't know
Okay.
if Tom does. I mean, you can also just move it to the next meeting if you want. I wouldn't think it would make sense to have the.
I'm going to make a motion to table 12D.
Okay, we have a motion. Is there a second to table 12B?
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
It is tabled. Okay. Motion on the other two?
I'll make the motion to approve 12B and 12C together.
Okay, thank you. Second? I'll second it. Roll call, please.
Councilman Kirsch?
Yes.
Councilman Cordiller?
Yes.
Councilman Pedroso?
Yes.
Councilman Ring,
Yes.
President Nogales.
Yes. E has been deleted. I do not think there is need for council action on that part. I think it's covered by the statutes, but that is an interpretation that will be handled between now and our next meeting. We are now moving to a closed session. Let me get my paperwork. Scott, you have 10 seconds.
On senior housing?
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we have closed our closed session. We are now at the end of the meeting with no additional business to handle. I'm looking for a motion to adjourn. I make the motion to adjourn. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I'll
Ladies and
second.
gentlemen, we are adjourned.
Or is the video off?
Scott? Not yet. We're off.
The problem with your comment about